Hi, Vincent. Hello, Vincent. I can't hear you. Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
hello? Oh,
Hello.
hi. Okay, my headphones aren't gonna work, but whatever. Are you there?
Yes, yes. I'm waiting for you to. Are you in the process of fixing your headphones or whatever?
Let me try one more time. Hold on.
I can hear you anyway.
Hello?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Never mind. I just have to use my. I can't use my headset.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna when I'm done talking with you, I'm gonna take my sixth ketamine treatment, the last one in this series.
Series, huh?
Yeah, well, it was six, and then I can buy more if I want. But
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. It did help me in certain ways. It did help certain kinds of things. It does help in a way. Yes, it does help.
I, I, I heard recently that it gives you a kind of out of body experience. Is that right?
It can. Yeah, it can.
And is that a good feeling or not?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, no, you don't get rip roaring high or anything like that. You just get this kind of contemplative mood.
And are you saying it aids your thinking? It makes you more creative, or
It makes you think more. It makes you think more deeply and more creatively and differently and outside the box and makes you ruminate on things and stuff like that.
right? And do you find that it's been useful to ruminate on things?
Yes. Yeah, I have found it to be useful and it just made me realize it kind of made me feel like I'm doing the right thing with all of my writing and the things that I'm into and it's valuable. So
So sometimes you fear that you that they may not be valuable and that you may have wasted your time.
well, I don't know I don't get tons of recognition, so that's not pleasant. And if you don't get tons of recognition, you're gonna wonder if it matters, and you know, um, yeah, you're gonna wonder if it matters if you're not getting tons of recognition, which I don't get. But at the same time, that is the gift of my childhood, in that I don't need to feel like the whole world needs to be listening to me. You know what I mean? Like, just being raised Jehovah's Witness, I have this mindset of like, just do what you think is right, and it doesn't matter if you only get 1% of the population. If you have 1% of the population, be happy with that. You know what I mean? You don't need. I have a little bit of a different. Well, the thing is that I eventually want to get more of the population, but in the beginning, see, they're not even really trying to get more than 1% of the population because
Sorry, who's they? Oh, you mean Jehovah's Witnesses?
yeah, they're not. I mean, because they don't have any grand designs or plans for a government or a society or anything like that. They're just waiting for God to come in and destroy everything. So they're not like really, they're not really trying to build up any kind of like, government system or something like that.
Yeah. So what so I guess you do what you do because you enjoy it, because you have scholarly inclinations, which makes you enjoy your research. Would that be correct?
I don't even really enjoy it. It's more of like a duty. It's more of like an exasperation. It's more of a fear that drives me more so than. I mean, yeah, I would think that it's more of a fear. Um, I wonder what it would have been like if I wasn't raised, like if I was raised by my father. My father's a lot less scholarly or a lot less intellectual than my mother is. And I think if I was raised in just a boring, regular Catholic household where you never go to church and you never discuss the Bible and you never discuss deep topics and things like that, I don't know what I would have been like. I might have been more of like a party boy, you know what I mean? Like, and I told you, I'm kind of, I am a little bit upset. Like, if I had just been raised like blase, like all these other Americans, I wouldn't be focusing on, you know, it doesn't necessarily bring me happiness. It's more of like a fear factor where it's like, okay, there's something going on in the world that I don't like and I want people to know about it. I don't actually like, sit down and be like, let me enjoy. It's more of like a searching, and I mean, I can't say it's a joy. I don't even know if I had not been pushed in a scholarly direction, if I would even be scholarly, to be honest with you.
Well, I suppose all of us kind of find ourselves where we are for a combination of reasons, inclination, circumstance, and people pushing us in one direction or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't necessarily bring me happiness. I don't think lots of thinking is going to bring you happiness.
Well, the thing is, you don't, well, in a way, our existence doesn't particularly, whether we're happy or not is not really the thing. If we want recognition, right? Whether we're happy or not is completely irrelevant, because the only thing that will get us recognition is whether what we do is useful or not. So we could be, happy all our lives, but it's like, when you're dead, it's like, yeah, well, who cares? Unless you have children and your children might mourn you briefly and move on. So I guess being an American, you kind of pursue happiness, and maybe maybe the pursuit of happiness is actually making us unhappy. I think it should be changed to the pursuit of justice. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess people should. Well, I don't want people to be unhappy either. I wouldn't wish my life on anyone. I mean, if I had children.
Well, you might be unhappy as well. I don't think you're going to get a whole bunch of parents saying, "Oh, I just love my children. I'm so happy with my life." They kind of do this. Well, oh, that's what I've done. What's expected of me, so nobody can blame me. I've just done what people have been telling me to do. So, to that extent, I've tried to be useful to mum and dad or whatever. You know, because I think a lot of people will say, I've done the minimum. I've done what's asked of me, and that's all I can do. But
Well,
but
I,
what I'm
I
trying to say
I'm just
also
I'm
is
saying
that
that if
whether we're happy or not is irrelevant to our ultimately being recognized. What were you saying?
no, I'm just saying that yeah, if I raised my children with all this heady stuff, it might make them unhappy. You know what I mean? Whereas these people, these average American men that were raised in average, normal, regular, everyday American households don't seem to be as, they just seem to be a little bit more carefree. You know what I mean? Like, and able to just be like, well, I don't care. And like, okay, even though they're, some of them say they're depressed because society is so liberal and they don't like that. um they're still able to, what they do is what they call taking the clown pill, like, clown around and shitpost and joke about it, and you know what I mean. And the thing is
But
that,
you hate them and you have the deepest contempt for them. So
but I
why
wouldn't
would
if I
you
was
be?
one of them. If I was one of them, I wouldn't have contempt for them, would I? They live in this.
But that's only because you value happiness, which is fleeting anyway, above doing what you think should, is the right thing, whatever it is.
Well, I mean, obviously, I do that. I do what I think is right, despite being happy. I mean, I think, but I don't think I know what to do to be happy. I mean, if if I don't know, if I had enough money, would I run away and hire some full-time prostitute and do drugs all day? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I would do that, but um, I
You're
mean,
kind of wishing your intellect away, which is sad because not many people have intellect.
well, it
You're
doesn't.
saying you just be trashy,
Well, it's
and you
always
think being
it,
trashy would make you happy.
it's always been understood throughout all of history that intellect makes you depressed. That's always been, that's even in Hinduism. There, they said that, one of the downfalls of having high intellect is that you get more depressed more
I'm
easily.
not depressed.
Well, yes, but I mean, I think that, well, I think that people who are satisfied with Islam, like, you don't even care about the meaning of consciousness or anything like that. So, that's why Islam is just, the answer for you, because, even though it doesn't answer questions about consciousness, you don't care.
Do you really care about what it means? I mean, you are conscious, so why do you want to ask questions about what is consciousness? If the definition is in a dictionary.
Well, even,
Why do
okay,
you feel you need to ask deeper questions?
well, my problem is not that I need to ask these deeper questions. My problem is that other people ask these deeper questions, and then other people have answers for them, and then they listen to them and they fall into these traps. And like, I don't sit around wondering what consciousness is all day. It's not my thing. It's not what I worry about. But I worry about other people, because so many people think about that, and people care. Most people care more about things like that than they care about the rules. Okay, like,
But
most,
don't you think that people who ask that question are atheists? They
no,
kind of out themselves. I know Tuvin talks about it, but he's an atheist fundamentally.
no, I don't think everyone who thinks about the nature of consciousness is an atheist. I don't think that.
They're a pseudo and an atheist, and they like to talk about these things to show off how clever they are
Yeah, but
and how long they can make you listen to their nonsense.
people really
That's what
have
they
these type
do.
people
It's a
really
game
have these
for
type
them.
but people really have these types of questions, and then quantum mechanics makes you think about these things deeper. And like, it's just like, if you would have to get rid of neuroscience to get people to stop thinking about this. You'd have to get rid of quantum mechanics to get people to stop
I
thinking
don't
about.
see how. I mean, they're only doing it because that maybe they're told, like, oh, if you're intellectual and you think about God and these things, these are the questions you're meant to ask, and it's like it's so dumb. So
Well, it can't be dumb if the
and maybe the purpose is to distract us from working out what the problem is and what the solution is.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, you refuse to, I'm just accepting the fact that these are the questions that people ask. I'm just
Yeah,
accepting
and
it.
I'm saying there is a reason why the media feeds us with these dumb questions and dumb topics to distract us and to make us fight each other.
No, but there's more. These questions have been asked since the beginning of time, long before there was CIA or media or whatever. I mean, these questions are as old as the hills, and people naturally ask them. And You know what I mean? If you don't provide an answer for them, they're going to go look for it for someone who says they can provide the answer. And, I'm trying to say, like, well, don't go to them, look over here, here's something else. The thing is that, now I'm getting into Matilda Ludendorff, and she did say, and I agree with her, she said people of higher intellect don't sit around and contemplate the acausal realm all day because you can't know what it is. So why would you sit around and contemplate things you don't know what they are? But
Exactly.
yes, but
I mean, you can only speculate, and then you'll never reach a conclusion that anyone would agree with you on, and therefore you have wasted your time. And what I'm, and it's like consciousness of what? That's and maybe these people are just asking themselves, "Oh, I just want to be conscious of God," right?
well, even okay, look, even religious Jews talk about consciousness. Like it's on Chabad's website. They obviously they realize people are asking these questions, and they realize that they have to give them something. They realize that you have to provide some kind of answer, or they're going to go to Hinduism, or they're going to go to Buddhism, or they're going to go to somebody who some mesmerist who says that they have the answers.
So you're so what your government needs to do is to stop naive people from being tricked by charlatans and snake oil salesmen. So you just assume that these people go, "Oh, what is consciousness?" And that they're really kind of reaching out to God in their, pathetic, way that shows that they don't even know what they are asking. But actually, Islam has this concept called taqwa, which is God consciousness. And the consciousness of God is supposed to assist you in obeying God's laws, which it is believed by Muslims is our purpose in life. So they're going to be saying, people who believe in the Abrahamic God and the afterlife are saying this life is an examination hall. We are supposed to choose between good and evil, and therefore we are supposed to know the difference between good and evil in theory and in practice. And if we pass the exam, we go to the better place. And that's it.
Yeah,
Do
but
you do you have some moral objection to this?
that might be too simple for some people. That might be too simple of a legend for some people. Some people are more complicated than that. And you don't, Claire, you don't make any room for people who are a little bit more inquisitive and a little bit.
Sure. I mean, look. I mean, you can propose um, a better bargain, a different scenario. Go ahead.
Well, people still want to know why a good person who's never done anything wrong has something bad done to them. Why would God test them like that, especially if they've been good their whole life? What's the point? You know,
Well, it might be they led a bad life in the previous one, or
yeah, but
it's an
now you have
opportunity
to,
for
yeah, exactly.
learning.
Now, but okay, but first of all, Islam does not really believe in reincarnation. That's your thing. Um,
Well, Jews do, and Muslims are not forbidden from believing that in reincarnation. I mean, there's no verse that says, "Oh, Muslims aren't allowed." And I've created this scenario whereby there are these five world religions, and you are
by the way,
only
if you die an idolater under Islam, you go to hell. You're not reincarnated.
well. You can ask yourself what God might do to people who go to hell. I mean, after all the punishments are meted out, it could be, well, because the Torah very helpfully provides us with a list of punishments.
I know, but what I'm saying
apply to
is that
Gentiles
okay,
through the Noahide law. So it's like, well, if you die a Gentile and you've done all the wrong things, eaten an animal while it's still alive, blah blah blah, then it's going to happen to you in the afterlife. You're going to be, punished in that way. And then I guess after after it's all been done, you might be given the option, like, well, which religion would you like to be born into? You know, in your next life. And depending on whether you learnt anything or not, you might choose a wrong one. You might say, "Oh, I wouldn't mind being a Hindu or a Buddhist or whatever," because not
this is the thing
everybody
that
knows.
now and that, but that's the other thing I don't like. Reincarnation is really harmful to people, in my opinion, because if you go to a person who's a very good person who's done nothing but good their whole life, and horrible things have happened to them, and then you tell them, "Well, you must have been bad in your previous life." I know in Hinduism that really hurts people. I know people who have been very damaged by that they're not bad people, they're very good people, but were treated very poorly. And the gurus just said, "Well, it was from your previous life," and that really ruins people. Good people.
Well, actually, I think there must be some instruction about people who see, I don't know, beggars and very unfortunate people. I mean, they get brownie points, don't they, for being kind to people who are suffering,
No, but
beggars and
if you tell people they're suffering and beggars because they were evil in their past life, that's cruel. That's cruel. There's
yeah,
social.
or they could say, well, maybe you did something wrong, not even in your past life, but in you know
Okay, but what
your
if you're
current
born into a
lifetime.
horrible place? If you're born into horrible conditions, you're told that you were bad in a previous life, and it's human dysfunction. It's not. It's cruel. I think it's cruel to tell people.
Okay, so the Jews believe that suffering is a cleansing experience.
Okay, but to tell them it's because they did something wrong in a previous life is cruel.
Okay, but in a way, reincarnation kind of makes people happy because they think people will get their just desserts. That good will be rewarded and evil punished, which is what, well, any reasonable and decent person would want.
Well, I mean, you could do it in
I mean, it
another
gives us
way.
comfort, does it not,
Well,
to think
it's more
that in the end, good will be rewarded and evil punished.
it's more comforting without reincarnation. I mean, I think heaven and hell is more. I think I don't think it's very good to tell people who have bad lives that they were bad in a previous life and are now suffering for it. I think
Well,
it's
maybe people don't tell that you must have been a bad person, and maybe people will
rein-
help you and give you money
well,
if
that's what
you're a
happens
beggar
under
or something in
that's what
India.
happens under reincarnation, that people think that it's your own fault and that you did something wrong, and it just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense that somebody was so good all of their lifetimes that they're born a billionaire and then all of a sudden they have a rotten soul and hurt everyone. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, for a lot of people, it does, in the sense that, um, well, they're happy to accept it. I mean, you may think it's wrong and unfair, but if you talk to a Hindu, they might think, well, if we take our punishment without complaint, we get brownie points. But if we complain and steal and rape and murder because people have been mean to us, well, we get it worse the next time round. So you can say it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. That is the test of our ability to distinguish between good and evil. And helpfully the Jews have made it easy for us with their seven no-eye laws.
Well, I don't think relying on reincarnation is a good way to do this. It just doesn't seem like it's very conducive, because then who's to stop someone from blaming you for your own condition? You know what I mean? Who's to stop?
Well,
Who's
well, there will be some people who say, "Oh, you deserved it because you were, a horrible person in a previous life," and there might be other people who would be sympathetic and help you.
yeah, but if you
So,
feel
I mean, not
that
everybody's going to be mean.
You're going to reduce people's sympathy if you make it seem like it's the person's fault. You're going to reduce sympathy for
Well,
people.
people only half believe in it. So,
Well, don't spread, even if they half believe negative things, it's still negative. You don't want negative things going around in society.
but there are people who want to believe in reincarnation because it gives them comfort.
Well, I
That's
don't know
why
why it
it
would give.
carries on.
Well, I don't think they're very smart, and I don't think they're really logically planning it out or like really following it to its logical conclusion. Lots of people just, they they're not taking it to its logical conclusion, and they're just being happy with a half knowledge.
Well, the logical conclusion is that a person can know about reincarnation, and believe in it, and still be kind to a beggar or some
Okay,
unfortunate
but
person,
I
and
think
then then they'll get brownie points. But if another person also believing reincarnation mocks the afflicted person, then they'll get minus points or something.
well,
I
I'm
mean,
telling
it
you,
could still work out that way.
I know people who have been hurt by Hindu gurus who told them, basically this is all your own fault. They have been hurt by them.
Okay, then they they can choose another religion. I mean,
Well,
that's
that would
my point.
then
I mean,
I'm saying that reincarnation is not a good religion to have.
okay, so what's a good religion to have?
Well, maybe to think that, the world is messed up because of human error and that maybe you'll get justice in the next world, but not that, well, you're in the position you're in because you're a bad person.
Well, the thing is, if you want to believe it of other people, you have to believe it of yourself. And I think, on the whole, anybody who thinks about it will think, um, well, if I don't learn anything in this life, I will have the option of a next life to learn the stuff I didn't learn. And as for bad people, they will be punished in their afterlife. And the good people, it is actually enormously comforting if people want to choose to believe in it.
Well, I don't
And
find it.
there are two ways of dealing with an unfortunate person. You could be kind to that unfortunate person without saying, "Oh, you deserved it because you must have led a terrible life, in your previous life." Um, we have the option of being kind to the person or mocking the person. So I don't see why it's such a disaster. And and if we mock the person, we probably get minus points. So there, I think that's sorted.
It reduces empathy to tell someone who came to you with a horrible life and say, well, you know what, you deserve this, then that's just, you know,
Do you know the book of Job?
a little bit, yeah.
Well, his friends were very annoying because he was saying, I don't know why I haven't done anything wrong. I've just been, and his friends came around, or when all his children were dead or something, and sat with him, and then eventually they said, you know, they speculated on the reasons, and they weren't flattering. And one of them said, well, maybe you did something wrong. You must have done something wrong because a morally perfect God wouldn't do this to you. And the background story is that God and Satan put a bet on how Job would respond. Would he still be praising God if he never got anything he wanted? Because the story was, that there was God, sorry, Job rich and happy, praising God, and Satan and Satan said, well, I'm sure he wouldn't if he lost his wealth and happiness. And God said, what a bet!
Well, that's different than reincarnation.
Well,
And
it's the same, really, because one of his friends said, "Oh, Job, you must have done something wrong because of
but he
benevolence."
didn't. But he didn't.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, Job managed to, stick to his guns.
The point is that if you can't even remember what you did wrong, it's pointless. It's like punishing a severely mentally retarded dog for that's so retarded it doesn't even know it went to the bathroom on the rug. Like, it's like it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, but I mean, let's assume that most people have the use of their faculties, and I mean,
They don't remember their previous lives. There's no way to.
okay, but they might think, okay, maybe I didn't do anything wrong, but this is just a learning opportunity because I may have mentioned to you that Jews are supposed to thank God even for misfortune, which is quite a tall order. But anyway, that's what they're supposed to do. So even if Jews are no longer up to all this sort of thing, we still know that that was what they were supposed to do.
Well, I think they should leave reincarnation out of it.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing in the Torah that says you're not allowed to believe in reincarnation. And I suppose Jews being Jews, they saw the usefulness in such a concept because it provides comfort, because there's nothing in the Torah talking about, heaven or hell, and Jews must be sort of wondering, well, we haven't got anything really. I mean, look at the Christians. They get to float on a cloud and play the harp. Look at these Muslims. They got this sort of wonderful consumerist heaven where they get to, you know, wear and eat and drink nice things. But what have we got? And I guess, a creator rabbi said, well, going to heaven or hell is not the only option. Anyway, we don't know. All we know is that these narratives are meant to serve the purpose of us, minding our P's and Q's and behaving correctly and obeying God's laws. Because we want to go to the better place or have a better afterlife. So I don't see why you would object to it because this would tend to make people behave better, don't you think?
I think it puts too much weight. No, I think it's just speculation, and I think it's wrong to use speculation like that to make. No, I think it's wrong to tell people that they're born without limbs because they did something wrong in a previous life. I think that that's wrong.
Well, nobody goes up and tells them
Yes,
that.
they do. They do. The Hindu gurus did it to my friends.
Would you like to tell us what happened, really?
No, well, I have a friend who has had a particularly horrible life, and the guru said that she just has to work through her karma, and that it was because of what she did in a previous life.
Well, and how is she now?
Well, it doesn't make her happy to think about that, and I told her not to think about that, and I told her the guru was fucking wrong. And I
Okay, but
told
are
her
you in
that,
touch with her?
what?
Are you in touch with her so you know how she is now?
No, not no, no, no. I've stopped talking to all Hindus. I don't have any more Hindu friends left.
Okay.
But, no, I told her that she was a very nice woman and that I think people took advantage of her. And I think that she was very sensitive and kind. And I think that the world just hurts her because she's more sensitive and kind than most people. And, I don't think she did anything wrong in a previous life. And I don't think she deserves this. And, I just think the world is messed up. And I don't think it's any of her own fault.
Well, I suppose if we believe that we might have done something wrong, we would accept our punishment with more grace.
No, why not fight back against it? I don't know. Why not just,
Well, there's nothing to fight back against if some, bad things happen to you and, it wasn't like it was somebody who did it to you.
Well,
I mean, like being born without, a limb or whatever.
find some other way to deal with your problems than to say I deserve them. I mean,
No, no. Well, I suppose that you're supposed to think if you're born without limbs. Well, I think it would be easier to accept if you thought, well, I must have done something wrong. I don't know what it is, but I
no,
can
that I wouldn't
still
want
find
that.
something good about life. Oh, look at the wonderful people who are kind to me and who
Yeah, well,
look after me.
try to find something good. It's what, try to find another way to get over your pain rather than, saying I did something wrong to deserve this. I don't think you deserve it. I think there's something wrong with the world and you got, the bad end of it. I mean, you didn't do anything wrong.
But okay, so what alternative um, attitude do you want this person to take? I mean, they can't really, get satisfaction and say, "Look, God, I want my limbs that you should have given me. I want, my vision. I want my, whatever it is." They're not in a position to demand any of those things, so they can only, submit with as much grace as they can muster.
No, I mean, I don't think maybe there's another alternative way of getting around this. You
Okay,
know,
well, you haven't thought about it
well,
yet.
I think, in you want to make a world that's compassionate so that people are kind enough to them that, they kind of have some kind of hope in life. If the people that were surrounding them were good enough, then maybe they would be able to get over the fact that, they were born without limbs. But I mean, to tell them that it's their own fault is just. And I mean that meant, and to tell them that they must have done something very horrible in their previous life in order to get that. Like, what's wrong with your soul? Like, what kind of person am I? What did I do? Am I a murderer? Am I a killer? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, what's in my soul? And then it just makes no sense that why would you be born so kind and nice after all these generations of being a horrible person? Why would you be born a kind and nice person? Why? That makes no sense.
Well, I mean, the point is that, what you can't change, you must accept with as much grace as possible.
Okay, well, reincarnation is not the best way to do that.
Okay, what is? So unless you
I mean,
produce a
well,
better
look,
idea, people will just rely on the best available one
okay, there's
that they can
Christians,
know of.
there's Christians who don't believe in reincarnation but are still able to get over the fact that they don't have limbs. You don't need reincarnation to get over this.
Okay, so the Christians would be saying, well, um, God has decreed that have been born without limbs. Who am I to question God?
Well, I mean,
I mean, it,
well,
it
they would no. I mean, the way I was taught, it was more that Satan rules the world for now, and that humans made the decision not to follow God, and so they're paying for their own deeds, and so the world is messed up because we don't follow God or we rebelled against God, and so therefore it's not really God's fault; it's humans' fault, and you know, and it'll get all of it will be made correct in the end, and in your afterlife it'll be corrected. You know what I mean? And that gives people enough hope to go on, that that it's going to be corrected if they follow
yes,
God.
God will right wrongs. Yes,
Yes, but I
sometimes.
mean, not in necessarily reincarnation. It's not blaming you as an individual for what you did prior to your birth, what you did wrong. It's more of a general humanity that made the problem, not that you're a bad person.
Okay, but I'm sure not everybody will say that you deserve this horrible life that you have.
No, you don't. You don't deserve it.
So, I mean, you behave as if, all Hindus and all Buddhists will just sort of be, you know, will be horrible to unfortunate people and mock them and say they deserved it.
No,
I
well,
don't think
no, but
that's
it
true.
could lead to a streak of that in the community, and it does. Yes, there is a streak in the Hindu community of being dismissive of people who have less than you. Yes, there is.
Okay, so they're not very nice people, so they can become Muslims if they want to be nicer people and enjoy better
Well,
government.
if Muslims believe in reincarnation and they believe someone's poor because they were a horrible person in their previous life, that might reduce empathy. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm not proposing to, tell Muslims to believe in reincarnation. I'm just explaining to you the utility of that belief for non-Muslims and non-Christians.
Okay, well, I just don't think it's a very valuable belief system.
Well, I mean, it sustained these Hindus and Buddhists, and they've been
Not very
around for.
well. Not very. Yeah, this whole thing about sustaining. I hate that's all the Hindus ever say. We've been here forever. We've been here forever. Yeah, how have you been living? Like, what kind of life have you had? That's all they care about is the fact that they're the oldest civilization and that they've never disappeared. They don't care about how much they've fallen, all the pollution, all of this, all of that. We're here. We exist. Like blobs exist. Like slugs exist too. Like you want to be a slug?
Well, I suppose that's the only accomplishment that they can point to. So, at least we're still around,
Yeah,
kind
well,
of thing. I
that's
mean, like
not.
Jews, I suppose, were who are the world's most ancient and powerful tribe. But, really, I suppose you have to allow people to say, well, you have to allow people to look on the bright side, particularly if you don't even want to be, either Jewish or Hindu. I mean, obviously, you think you're right and prefer your life to theirs.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of Hindus are very happy because they meditate all day to the point that they don't notice bug bites. Like, if you meditate to the point that you don't notice mosquito bites, of course you're going to be happy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you'll be happier. Like, I can't take that away from them, but,
But you don't want
like,
to live their life. So, I mean,
well,
is there a
I don't
religion
necessarily.
that you think, oh, I would mind being that?
Well, the thing is that I don't necessarily think it's so good to meditate to the point that you don't feel anything.
Yeah, because you're wasting your life, and you maybe and when maybe you should get a job.
Well, I mean, they get jobs and stuff like that, but everything is don't with the Hindus is don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. They never worry. They don't worry about anything. They never worry about anything. And so then everything just slides. Everything is just okay. Everything, and it's just, retreat into your little mind and do yoga and don't even pay attention to the horrible things in the world. And, it's horrible. I couldn't, when I was a Hindu, I couldn't stand them. I was the only one who cared about anything. And everything with them was just ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. And I couldn't stand it.
Well, great. So I think you would prefer to be a Muslim if you were forced to choose between
Well,
being a
I mean, they
Hindu.
don't go quite as far as the Hindus, but I am the type of person that I don't ignore things and I don't ignore little things. And I do happen to, well, I am sensitive and I do pick up on small things. And but well, the Muslims obviously don't care about the Noahide laws because it's too small for them. And like, I don't want to be like that either. I don't want to just be like, oh, this, when things are little. The thing is that I look, Jehovah's Witness is a little religion that caused a lot of problems for me and for society. You know what I mean? And I mean, you have people now that won't go to war. You don't have to salute the flag. These different kinds of things, and and it destroys people's lives. And who cares if it's little? And the thing is that the Noahide laws are a movement that do want to grow, that do want political power, that do want this. I mean, why are you putting Jehovah's Witnesses in jail in Muslim countries? And you're not saying anything about the Noahide laws, which has much more potential to be much, much, much more dangerous than Jehovah's Witnesses.
So which Muslim countries put Jehovah's?
Azerbaijan does. I've sent you that list. Jehovah's Witnesses are the most outlawed religion on the face of the planet, almost. You know what I mean? Like, they're outlawed more than almost any other religion. They're like number one.
Okay, I guess it's because they won't be conscripted. Is that maybe the problem?
Well, yes, but I'm just saying that, you know what I mean? If you're going to make a big deal out of them and not the Noahide laws, then I don't think your priorities are straight. I mean, if you're just going to, you know, the, you know, if, yeah, don't tell me, you're going to make a decision that those people need to go to jail, but then you're going to tell me not to worry about the Noahide laws, then I don't think your priorities are straight.
Oh, interesting. So, Jehovah's Witnesses have been imprisoned in many countries for their refusal of conscription or compulsory military service. Their religious activities are banned or restricted in some countries, including Singapore, China, Vietnam, Russia, and many Muslim majority countries.
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, they're going to scream about that, and then, you know what I mean? And well, Muslims now have the arrogance of being a world religion with billions of people, billions of followers. And so when you get like that, you get to the point where you just don't care about, you're the glut, you're the mass, you're the big number. And so you just totally don't even fucking care about anything else that's going on, and nothing else matters. And the only thing that matters is what the group is doing, and nothing else is a problem. And that's what happens when you get too big, you know, or at least when you get too big with the wrong kind of ideology. And, Muslims are just very, very, very arrogant because there's so many of them, and they have so many countries, and they have so much power and wealth and armies and all these other kinds of things that, they really don't sweat the small stuff. And, that's the other, everyone, don't sweat the small stuff. The small stuff becomes big stuff. And if everybody sweat the small stuff, then the big stuff wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, just give me a society where nobody sweats the small stuff, and you'll see a society that collapses eventually and is overrun by problems.
Well, what you need then to make people sweat over the small stuff is to concern themselves over the principle of the thing. And this can only come from religion.
Yes, to concern yourself over the principle of the thing. That's why I'm upset about the Noahide laws, not because they're beheading people, but because it's the principle of the thing. Nobody's getting beheaded yet, but is that the eventual goal? Like eventually down the road? Yeah, like, I don't care that
I
it's
don't
not.
think it is because I think the Jews who are promoting it are just thinking, oh, it's a nice thing. Nobody's going to disagree about it, and they're not thinking about the punishments.
How
And
do you not think about the punishments? There's clear.
because they don't think that there is a demand for a Torah theocracy, and they would be
Okay,
correct.
okay. Well, the punishment. You don't need a Torah theocracy. You don't need a Torah theocracy for the Noahide laws to be implemented globally. No need. All you need is
Well,
Gentile.
that's what you keep saying, but I just don't see how it's going to work.
Well, the Gentiles don't. The Gentiles can just say, "Well, we want to run on these laws because we think they're good laws."
In theory, but they will know when the crunch comes. Like, well, what happens when we get into difficulties over the interpretation? And the answer will be you'll have to ask a rabbi, and then they'll think, right, we don't even get to decide about these things in our own Supreme Courts. We have to ask a rabbi. No, thank you.
Well, no. Once they have all the knowledge, you don't really need. I mean, look. Once you have Noahide yeshivas and the rabbis have taught you everything that you need to know, then I mean, there's no real need to go to the rabbis.
Well, you keep saying in theory, um, okay, I guess it's in theory possible, but imagine if this became a thing, then the Muslims will come down on them like a ton of bricks. Like, what are you
No, well,
doing?
they're gonna wait till it's too late. I told you the
Well, I
Muslims
don't
are.
think it will ever be too late because the Muslims will say, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you trusting a rabbi who had not done
Because the Torah
any
told
of what they were supposed to do?
because the
Why
Torah
do you trust
told
them to interpret your laws? Are you crazy?"
because the Torah says that all the non-Jews will grab onto the shirt of the Jew and say, "Follow, we will follow you because God is with you." And the Torah came first before the Quran, and there was no reason to reject the Noahide laws. So these are obviously this is God's will,
So the Muslim would say, "Well, Islam is a no-hide religion,"
but it's
and
not. But it's not.
well, it's the closest thing.
Okay, but it's not. It's no cigar. It's a lower standard.
Well, actually, there are um, Jews and websites that say that Islam is a no-hide religion.
Yeah, but we know that they're just saying that because they want to make friends with them. But we know that there's no such thing as a Noahide religion. You can't make up more. You can't add, subtract. You can't subtract the law of no idolatry and be Noahide. You can't subtract that law.
Not subtract. It's like
Yeah, they
you
is it. There's no
you
death
use it
penalty
as
for it.
a grading system.
There's no penalty. There's no penalty for idolatry. So then it doesn't meet the Noahide standards.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. You
Yes,
can
it
still
does.
run your country in a way that shows that you disapprove of idolatry.
Disapprove. That's like saying, "Oh, we disapprove of murder." Like that's it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, and the thing is, murder still takes place even when there
I
is
know, but
the
that
death
if you don't,
penalty.
that's like disapproving but not punishing murder is not going to get you anywhere.
Yes, yes, it will get you somewhere because if the law of the land is based on the Quran, people will know that Islam is dominant,
No,
even
if
even
you
if
to
it is
not
sort of
okay,
actually.
to not outlaw murder is the same as not outlawing idolatry. Either way, it it doesn't work. You cannot have it.
Well, it would be impractical to to get people to start executing idolaters
Not
because
after a while if you do it.
of course
uh,
yeah, who's going to do it? That there is no political will.
If you do it, if you slowly change the religion of the society, people will eventually do it. They've done it before.
Yes, but what's going to happen is Islam is going to take over before the no-hides get their act together.
Well, I don't know
I
if
mean,
that's
you know that's going to happen. You just keep clinging to this fantasy that eventually there'll be all these no-hides who will exceed the number of Muslims who will be happy to be rabbinically guided.
well, if you do this, well, the thing is, they're doing this in very sneaky ways. Like, okay, they're not just going to the Muslims saying, you need to be rabbinically guided. The first step with the Muslims is, you're fine as you are. You're a great Noahide religion. Just change these itty bitty tiny little things.
They
And
don't. I think you already know that these rabbis don't talk to Muslims. They just go to formerly Christian Islamophobes
no,
because
they
you
go
have
to
to
no, they
be.
go to Muslims. Remember that rabbi who wrote that letter to all the Muslims in the world saying you're a Noahide religion and you don't have to change and everything is fine. And he runs the Noahide World Center. They're talking to Muslims too. They
I don't think so.
well,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
you can issue a proclamation, but I don't think Muslims are just sort of coming to him and saying, "Oh, make us no hides." It's only the Hindus who need to be certified as being fit to come to Israel as immigrant workers. That's where the money is.
Well, it's more than just. They're not just looking to immigrate. I mean, they're stupid and they're also power hungry and they want to be accepted and they're tired of being called polytheists and they want to join the power club.
Yes, everybody does, but do you not see how easily arguments can be used to deal with these people?
Well,
I mean, that's
it's
why,
a look.
Muslims aren't that bothered. It's like, if they ever become a threat, we're going to use these arguments. But in the meantime, we have to worry
What
about
arguments that you
Palestine.
allow idolatry and blasphemy? Is that what your arguments are going to be?
Sorry, what? Say that again?
So your arguments are going to be we allow idolatry and blasphemy.
Well, they won't be saying that, but I mean, they'll certainly be saying, well, we have no plans to execute idolaters and blasphemers, or any plans to declare war on Christians. Islam is
Well, the rabbis are not
pluralist. It's
saying
an
that yet.
imperial religion and has rules for dealing with non-Muslims. So, and they have no reason to fear us. That's what they're going to say. Don't go to these sort of, don't become a rabbinically guided nohide, because deep down you know what the rabbis want to do to you: execute you for idolatry and blasphemy.
Well, if they do it slowly enough that the population changes slowly, these things become possible. I mean, it's just that this isn't like some Islamic jihad take over the country in 20 years.
But I think Muslims are kind of, because of their sheer numbers in the West, and also the converts, and the white people realizing they need a religion. What's going to happen is that the West will become closer to Sharia than it will be closer to becoming rabbinically guided no-hides. I mean, everything, all things being equal, that's what's going to happen. So if you want recognition, I think, you should be able to predict the future reasonably
I'm more
accurately, and read the writing on the walls and make your move accordingly.
well, I'm not going to be helping. I want a counterbalance to Islam. I'd rather Jews and Muslims fighting each other and not being able to accomplish anything than helping Islam take over. I'd
Well,
rather,
because you don't really care about, the next generation.
but I do, but I don't want it to be under Islam, and I don't want it to be under the no-hide laws either. So if
So well, you were
so,
just
get
saying
those two to fight each other. Get those two to fight each other. Get those two to destroy each other, and then we can, move on from there. But
to what? You haven't got the thing.
well, we could have secular democracies if people were just intelligent and enlightened, and then we wouldn't need, actually, Claire, I have to go.
Okay.
But we've been on for an hour, so that was a
Yes.
good. Okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I think I made my position reasonably clear about the nature and purpose of reincarnation. It is to give people comfort, as well as heaven and hell. And people seem to want to believe in it because it gives them comfort and hope that there will be justice in this life and the next. And those who want a different belief have to create a belief that is better, as well as easy to understand. And nothing really can beat simplicity in these matters. So what we want is people to think, um, I like I like the sound of reincarnation. I can understand it. I see that Carol is here. Perhaps she will join me. Nudge Unit ask, where is SJJ these days? I believe he's busy at work or something. So are you joining me, Carol, or not? I'll wait a few minutes and say a little more about what I've been doing. Um, and right, so I can tell you about my um, post-mortem life cycle in that. Um, Actually, you know what? I'm going to step away for a bit and then come back. Well, sorry to hear that. Carol can't make it. Maybe tomorrow, she says. All right, then I will finish the stream and mention that if Vincent wants to propose an alternative, he actually has to propose an alternative, and he hasn't so far. So there we are. Thank you all for listening.